the Gambia, the Secretary General and leader of the opposition People's Alliance Party is calling on citizens to stop practicing or encouraging tribalism in the West African country. Ebrima Tabora Manneh also says that citizens should instead focus their attention on unity and national development. This after expressing concern that political leaders have often used tribalism to divide and rule the country, which he argues has undermined the country's progress. Ebrima Tabora Manneh tells me that his party plans to foster a mindset aimed at ensuring development and improving living conditions.
It's actually a very small country in West Africa. The population is below 3 million, and it's inhabited by people of different ethnic groups or tribes, if you may. But unfortunately, people who are into politics, they will use politics as a tool or use tribes as a tool to sort of divide them or sort of cause some sort of mistrust or distrust, between them. It's mostly a weapon used by politicians to divide people, to make them feel like they cannot trust each other, they cannot work along. And what it does is that it creates suspicion and enmity among different tribes. It deprives people with talent, with ability from, usually being given positions of responsibility, especially in government or in the economic sector.
Your party was registered in November 2022, which means by November this year, your party would have existed for 2 years. The aim of your party is to promote peace and end tribalism. 2 years on, have you been able to achieve this?
Yes, I believe we have, because we've said that once we enter the political arena, the issue of tribalism within a very short period of time would be a thing of the past. And if you do follow Gambian politics, you'll notice that a lot of the political parties now are mostly emphasizing, tribal cohesion, tribal unity, so that at least people get along. And we've said that if we come into power, within the first 90 days, we'll ensure that tribal issues will not be mentioned in this country, because the Gambia is too small a country, and we know that it's impacted African countries a lot. This was something that was used initially by those who ruled over Africa, and now our political elites also use it as tools to divide the people.
Specifically, what measures have you put in place to promote peace and end tribalism in the Gambia?
First, we started with our own political party. If you hear about political parties in the Gambia, some political parties are usually termed as belonging to a certain tribal group. So what we did initially by setting up the political party, we ensured that the executives comprise of people from all ethnic groups within the country. Like in the Gambia, you have the Mandinkas and the Wolofs and the Fulas and the Jolas and the Sarahules and the Akus and the Manjagos. So that's where we started, because we want people to see the party as a reflection of the country. Secondly, what we did is that we try to tell them from all religious angles, whether it's Islam or Christianity, because majority of the people here are Muslims, what our religion said about tribes. It says that we are from one source, which is Adam and Eve, if you may. We call it Adam and Hawa. So we are one and the same if you look at our roots. But also culturally, if you look at the cultures among the tribes in the Gambia, they are more or less the same. If you go to one tribe, you will find that people of the same name and the same last name can belong to any of the ethnic groups in the country. And in fact, tribalism is one small aspect. It goes from tribalism to how we must, as Africans and as Gambians in particular, must take ownership of our economy, how we must develop from being a consumer country to being a country that can at least produce something.
Your critics are saying that you are talking a good game, and that because there are a lot of political parties, this is a clever way for you to draw attention to your soon-to-be 2-year-old party, and that you are just one of those politicians just making noise to attract attention to yourself.
We've been around since 2021, and we've challenged everybody. We've said that, in fact, our manifestos, our plan for development, not only along tribal lines, but in terms of education, transforming the education the system that we have right now to introduce STEM, mostly science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, how we must start producing, how we must empower the farmers, how we must take care of our security, how we must take care of the economy, so that at least Gambians are the major stakeholders and the dominant players in the economic sector.
Talking about the economy, you recently raised the point that the Gambian economy is in the hands of foreigners who are seeking to make. But isn't this a form of xenophobia?
What we are saying, we are not saying that foreigners should not be in the country. We are not saying that they must not be involved in business. But unfortunately, what is happening in this country is like a country where over 75 or 80% of the economy is controlled by non-Gambians, who usually the profits that they make are not plowed back in the country, but it's usually sent outside the country. What we say is not to deprive them from doing business, but we must empower Gambians so that they become major players in the economic sector in the country.
Ebrima Tabora Manneh is the Secretary General and leader of the opposition People's Alliance Party. He spoke with me from the Gambian capital, Banjul.